How you doing, everybody? It's your boy Wardy, and as you can see, we're back at it talking about the Amazons. And folks, we're also back at it breaking down our latest edition of 5 Mets starting pitching targets for the 2024 season. We know they need to address the bullpen. We know they need to address corner outfield. We know they need to address DH. But one thing is certain, the rotation still needs to be rectified. It still needs to be rounded out. And after losing out on Yoshinobu Yamamoto, and then to a far lesser degree most recently, and Lucas Giolito, David Stearns still has to add to this rotation. So we'll be breaking down 5 starters and why, for more reasons than one, they make plenty sense to either round out the rotation as a number 5, number 6 starter, or with upside as potentially even a number 3 or number 2. We're going to be going over all those options and then some. But before I do, make sure to smash that like and subscribe button for your boy. It's the easiest and best way to support the channel. And thank you all so much in advance. And also thank you all so much in advance for hearing from today's video sponsor, that being our great friends at BetUS. If you don't know BetUS, BetUS is America's #1 sportsbook. They are safe, they are secure, and they are reliable. And as you've seen from previous work we've done with BetUS, they're coming out with all the fun odds when it comes to parlays, money lines, spreads, you name it. BetUS has you covered. With NFL playoffs right around the corner, what are you waiting for? Get in on the action today by clicking the link in the description. That way you too get a 125% boost with your first deposit. So if you deposit $100, you automatically get $225 to work with. And if you're interested in betting in NFL, then by all means go ahead. NBA and all the other sports, by all means dive in. But if you like to wait for baseball season, don't worry, because we're going to have unique WardyNYM parlays that we'll be breaking down pre-game and also breaking down post-game throughout the 2024 season here with BetUS. So if you're ready for the inevitable Wardy's 3-pick parlay of Jeff McHits with 2 or more hits, Pete Alonso with at least 2 bases, if not more, and Kodai Senga with 7 Ks in his start at least, then you are going to love what we're doing here with BetUS. So make sure to check them out today. Stay tuned for our unique parlays throughout the regular season once we get there. And again, shout out once more to BetUS for being a great sponsor on the channel. Starting off at number 5, we have Nick Pivetta, right-hand pitcher for the Boston Red Sox. In his walk year as well, as Pivetta will be a free agent after the 2024 season. And with this Red Sox team currently in disarray, trying to figure out how they're going to field their roster for 2024, we've been led to believe that they are interested in shedding some payroll. So should they wish and should they have any interest, Nick Pivetta is a guy that does make plenty of sense for the New York Mets as another rotation piece, a guy that can be utilized in both the rotation and the bullpen. So I want to know your reactions to Nick Pivetta in particular as a potential fit, because what do I like about him? Well, you look at the stat line down below in his last year with Boston, you know, a 4 ERA, a 3.98 expected ERA, but a 3.36 SI ERA. The underlying numbers are certainly favoring quite a bit here with Nick Pivetta. And when you look at his arsenal, 1.12 whip, you like that. The fastball, which sits around 95, you got the curveball, you got the sweeper, and a bunch of other pitches. Love his multi-pitch mix as well. The curveball is what he's been famously known for during his time in Boston. And with the Philadelphia Phillies to start out his career, definitely was shaky, wasn't a true starter a lot of the times, at least at a consistent level. Since taking his talents to Boston, and a batter's park, mind you, this is not an easy place to pitch whatsoever for guys. He has done it fairly well, and I think in a pitcher's park like Citi Field in particular, having the already understanding and familiarity of the NL East is where someone like Pivetta is appealing. And unlike the Corbin Burns and the Shane Biebers of the world, fellow rental pitchers in their own right, they are at such a astronomical value price point wise versus what you'd have to give up to get someone like Nick Pivetta. Will not cost you nearly as much of an arm and a leg for a rental piece, and someone who can have quite the immediate impact for the club. And when looking at, you know, his pitch mix in general, what do I like so much about it? Well, as we evaluate their baseball savant, the expected batting average 76 percentile, chase percentage 89 percentile, whip percentage 75 percentile, K percentage 93 percentile, extension 89 percentile, fastball run value 73 percentile, above average in expected ERA and fastball velo. His issues have been average exit velo, barrel percentage. The home run rate needs to come down. He was around a 1.3 home run per 9 this past season. K per 9, however, in just under 200 Ks because of thanks to over an 11 K per 9 at 3+ walks per 9, something that Germany Heifer can work with. But again, a starter that can certainly give you more upside as either a long reliever or a true starter for this rotation in the back end for 2024 is certainly a more appealing option than some starters currently out there in the free agent market. So for all these reasons and then some, Nick Pivetta, keep an eye on him as a potential roster fit for the Mets this season. And at number 4, we have a starting pitcher who faced domestic allegations in the 2023 season, but was not fined or penalized any way, which shape or form by MLB, so hopefully that's a good sign. And that is, of course, Mike Clevinger, most recently starting pitcher of the Chicago White Sox South Side. And the reason why I'm not going to dive much further into that is because I don't want to misspeak on things I don't know too well. I just know that he was accused of some things last year by his wife or girlfriend, not only domestic abuse regarding her, but also their child. Seems like the era has been cleared there since then, however, because Clevinger still finished his season with the White Sox and everything in between, and he did not face any fines or penalties by the league, which is why I'm hoping that that's a good thing at least. But regardless, that could come into play in how teams evaluate him, and it could be a factor as to why the Mets may not sign him, or, you know, maybe it will be a non-factor. They do go out and sign him. No less, Mike Clevinger this past season in Southside, while everything was going wrong in Chicago, he was one of the few things that was going pretty right for the most part. A 3.77 ERA, expected ERA of 4.13, hate the SI ERA at 4.81. So more so what he can control. He wasn't all that great. I know the defense was horrendous behind him as well, but still not loving that number. A 1.23 whip, a 4.28 FIP, 110 strikeouts. Again, not a big strikeout guy, just had it over 7K per nine this past season to around a 2.7 or so walks per nine. Not known for the overwhelming stuff, which is why he's one of the worst starters in baseball when it comes to swing and miss and striking out guys. However, he's pretty effective in everything else. And with the Mets having desperate need to add to this rotation, adding innings eaters and what's available in the free agent market, Mike Clevinger is certainly one of the better options currently. And when looking through Baseball Savant, there's a lot to like here. 81st percentile pitching run value, fastball run value, 68 percentile, breaking run value, 69 percentile. Nice, if you know, you know. 85 percentile for off-speed run value, expected ERA, expected batting average, fastball velo, all above average, average exit velo, 70 percentile. The only things that are bad really are his whiff and K percentage and the ground ball percentage, because he lets the ball get lefted quite a bit. Needs to work on the home run rate there, but the walk percentage, rel percentage, hard hit percentage, that's all good. So there are clearly plenty of tools in Mike Clevinger in his arsenal that I like. You got the four-seam fastball that sits around 94, 95, the slider, the changeup, the cutter, and the curve. I love pitchers that have 5+ pitch mixes, and because of all those reasons and then some, the Mets desperate need to add to this rotation. Keep an eye on Mike Clevinger, because you could just be that short-term fit that the Mets are certainly looking for. And at number 3, we have a former teammate of Mike Clevinger's during their time in San Diego, none other than veteran southpaw at the young age of 31, most recently with the San Francisco Giants as a starter and reliever, Sean Manaea. Sean Manaea, we all remember his time with the Oakland A's. He threw a no-hitter there. He was a guy a couple years ago I was dying for the Mets to go out of their way to try to land. However, since then, Manaea has struggled quite a bit, especially during his time in San Diego. But with the San Francisco Giants and while working with Driveline the past 2 off seasons, has seen success in not only a higher fastball average velo, but also with his off-speed pitches. You can tell that Sean Manaea is starting to fine-tune his game and in a utilized role similar to Nick Pivetta and what the Mets currently have in Adrian Hauser as a guy who can be a starter and reliever. There are certainly aspects to his game that are appealing. 37 games, only 10 starts this past season, roughly 120 innings, albeit not too much. 4.44 ERA for Manaea, a 3.83 SI ERA, which I like because that tells me more about him and what he can control. A 1.22 whip. So there are things to like here about Sean Manaea. When you look at his Baseball Savant numbers, they leave a bit to be desired. What stands out is his off-speed run value at 86 percentile, his extension at 96 percentile, his K percentage at roughly 70 percentile, so definitely saw an uptick there as well. Hard hit percentage, 68 percentile, but everything else is around average to a little bit below average at the MLB level. He has the fastball at 94 miles per hour on average, the slider, the changeup, and the cutter. A nice 4-pitch mix there for Sean. Again, this is someone that we know is able to eat innings, but it's all about one, Sean Manaea making sure he can stay healthy because he's dealt with ailments throughout his career, but also being effective in a different way with the Mets here. You know, he had just under a 10K per nine this past season, which is a whole strikeout more than what he had in 2022, and the walk rate 3.21. It's respectable. It's something the Mets can work with. I know it's not great. I don't love guys with decent to high walk rates, but we've seen in recent years the Mets' ability to combat that and then some with pitchers. Not everyone, but with a decent chunk. So Sean Manaea, I would definitely keep an eye on him. He seems like a guy that fits the bill, and also when talking about another pitcher we'll get into shortly, there are similarities in their release points and their overall pitch mix to said player, and Manaea is one of the few guys that has those similarities in his game. But Sean Manaea, again, as an innings eater, another back-end rotation type who has upside for more, given the fact that he's working with Driveline, who are known to be very analytically involved in getting the best out of pitchers, working with their mechanics. They have fine-tuned Manaea's game over the past year quite a bit, and I expect him to have a solid 2024 wherever he may land. And on number 2, which shouldn't come as a surprise to literally anybody if you've been following the channel, is MPB starting pitcher Southpaw Shota Imanaga, who has up until January 11th to sign with an MLB club, or he'll have to take his talents back to Japan for another season. Imanaga is meeting with clubs as soon as this week already, and hopefully will have a decision in the coming days at this rate. Now, the big question with the Mets is, how willing are they to go for multiple years on a starting pitcher that's in the free agent market? We know they aren't likely to sign Blake Snell or Jordan Montgomery at this current rate, given what their asking price is and the term. But Shota Imanaga falls in the category of, okay, he definitely has a higher ceiling and upside than anyone else available in the free agent market. Not named those two players, and he's not as good as the two. He's kind of in the middle there, and he's projected to get a Kodai Senga-esque contract of 5 years, $75 to $100 million. Is that something the Mets have an interest level in, say, including at least one opt-out in there? I sure hope so. We know the Mets have an interest in Shota Imanaga. They've expressed it plenty this offseason. So should this fit their timeline still of winning not only now, but going forward, focusing on 2025 and beyond, Shota Imanaga is one of the most interesting release points. He's so unique, as James Shiano, who did a great job on a recent live show on the channel breaking down more about Imanaga and his game. Even though he sits in the low 90s on the heater, has late rise with it, which causes plenty swing and miss. Now, home run rate was a little bit of an issue during his time in the MPB, so that's something the Mets will certainly have to try to work on. But the Mets have this familiarity working with MPB pitchers thanks to Kodai Senga. They know what it's like to have a 6-man rotation. That's what you would need should you sign someone like Imanaga. But also, Imanaga, truthfully, in my opinion, has some of the best stuff currently out there in the free agent market. It's unique, it's different, and there are some similarities between himself and Sean Manaea, Nestor Cortez, among a couple other lefties in the game, to name a few. But no one is truly like Shota Imanaga, which is what makes him so polarizing as this player. Polarizing, rather, not pulverizing. A polarizing player where you don't know exactly what you're getting. Similar to Senga, yes, the ceiling might not be as high, but the floor is pretty solid as a mid-rotation piece here. And with a 2.8 ERA this past season, because I have the numbers off by a start or two, because this goes back to a couple months when I initially did the graphic, there's a lot to like with Imanaga, not only with the slow fastball, but also with those off-speed and breaking pitches. Leaves quite a bit to be happy about for whoever is going to have the luxury of landing him, and I certainly hope that is in fact the New York Mets. Don't think I need to say much more. Shota Imanaga, if the Mets are willing to throw 3 to 5 years at a starter in this year's free agent market, keep an eye on Shota Imanaga, as he is truly one of the most interesting options out there. And last but not least, at number 1, we have none other than a starting pitcher from the Milwaukee Brewers organization, not named Corbin Burnes, not named Brandon Woodruff, enter Freddie Peralta, who I've explained a lot in recent content. I would love Freddie Peralta in this rotation. David Stearns, a former Milwaukee Brewers GM and Pobo, most recently did a trade with the Brewers to acquire a back-end starter in Adrian Hauser and a corner outfield fit coming off the bench in Tyrone Taylor. Let's do another trade with Milwaukee, but let's get their most prized possession here when it comes to starting pitching, not in Corbin Burnes, that is Freddie Peralta. I know Brewers fans never want to see this happen because Burnes is likely going to walk after this upcoming season. Peralta very well could be their ace of the future going forward, and wouldn't shock me if he stays put, which is why he is the least likely option here versus the most likely, because you have to give up assets to get a guy like him, and you have to give up some pretty good assets. However, if you're David Stearns and you're willing to sacrifice giving up some of the farm, he has made note that he wants to do it for players where he knows he's getting multiple years of control in return, and that is where you enter someone like Freddie Peralta. This past season with the Brewers was pretty much phenomenal. 165 innings, a 3.86 ERA, with a 3.35 expected ERA, a 3.45 SI ERA. Why do I think that's important? Those are the numbers that tell you what a pitcher can control versus his baseline ERA, which tells you more so about all the surrounding factors, including the defense behind him, which had its hiccups throughout the 2023 season, rather, with the Milwaukee Brewers. Freddie, who still has multiple years of control, is only 27. I love so many things about him in his game. You look at Baseball Savant, he has the heater sitting around 94, 95. The slider, the changeup, and the curveball. 89th percentile in fastball run value, 72nd percentile in pitching run value, expected ERA, expected batting average, both around 82 and 83rd percentile, average exit velo, 78th percentile, whiff percentage, K percentage, he gets a lot of swing and miss, 92 percentile apiece, extension 88 percentile, needs to work on the barrel percentage a little bit more, he's above average, and walk percentage, and hard hit percentage. However, does get hard hit at a decent rate. Still not terrible by any stretch, but something to monitor with someone like him. And over 11K per 9, 11.4 as a matter of fact, to a 2.93 walks per 9, 210 strikeouts in 2023 for Freddie Peralta. Again, if you're going to trade away some key young talent to the Milwaukee Brewers, this is the type of player you do it for. This is not what you do it for in regards to Corbin Burns, knowing that Corbin Burns could still walk a year from now. If you're going to trade away key assets, you need to do it where it makes sense for both sides long term. And for Freddie Peralta, he fits both the short term and long term vision that the Mets currently have in store, which is why someone like Yamamoto was so appealing for them. So yes, you have to give up assets. Yes, you're going to have to jump through hoops a little bit more to land someone like him. And yes, it's probably the least likely option out of all that I've discussed today because of those factors. No less, Freddie Peralta, if he becomes available by any stretch, keep an eye on David Stearns and the Mets because, again, for more reasons than one, he would be quite the fit, helping headline the rotation with, yes, Kodai Senga for 2024 and beyond. But that'll do it for this video, folks. So I want to know your thoughts in the comments down below. Which starting pitcher out of the 5 do you like the most as a potential fit for the Mets? Which one do you think is most realistic versus unrealistic? And whatever your thoughts are, just drop them down below. Thank you all so much for watching. This video took me far longer than it should have to make today, so I really appreciate you guys. Smash that like and subscribe on. The endless support always goes such a long way here on WardyNYM. And I'll catch you guys all again real soon in more live shows, more individual videos, you name it. We got it all covered here on WardyNYM. Thank you again, folks. And as always, let's go Mets, baby. Peace out.